Hazel Ward is about to deliver a spinning heel kick that will send Wayne Simmons flying into the metal bleachers, his 200-pound frame crashing against the aluminum with a sound that echoes across Riverside Sports Complex like a gunshot. But right now, she's on her knees in the middle of the football field, fake dollar bills scattered around her trembling hands while 500 people watch in horrified silence. Wayne towers over her, see it with that trademark smirk, the same expression he's worn since elementary school when his daddy's money first taught him that some people matter more than others. What Wayne doesn't know is that beneath that bright yellow cheerleader uniform beats the heart of a trained fighter, someone who has spent 7 years learning exactly how to destroy bullies like him. And, in exactly 18 minutes, he's going to discover what happens when privilege meets precision, when arrogance meets consequence, when a corrupt system finally faces someone who refuses to stay silent. The autumn air carries the scent of fresh-cut grass and teenage desperation. October 23rd at 3:47 p.m. on what should have been the most exciting day of Riverside High's football season. Championship game against the Wellington Warriors. Local news cameras positioned along the sidelines. Proud parents filling every available seat in the packed stadium. The energy should be electric. Instead, it feels like standing in the eye of a hurricane, waiting for the destruction to begin. Hazel adjusts her yellow and blue pom-poms with steady hands that betray nothing of the storm building inside her chest. She has been preparing for this moment longer than anyone realizes. If you're finding this story as gripping as I am to tell it, please hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible tales of justice prevailing against all odds. And if these stories inspire you as much as they inspire me to share them, consider hitting the thanks button below, because your support helps me continue bringing these powerful moments to light. Thank you so much for being here with me on this journey. The Riverside Sports Complex sprawls across 15 acres of perfectly manicured athletic fields, its crown jewel being the football stadium that holds 800 people when packed to capacity. Today, it's reached that limit. Every seat filled with students, parents, teachers, and local dignitaries who have no idea they're about to witness something that will make headlines for weeks. The October sun sits low in the sky, casting long shadows across the artificial turf, while a gentle breeze carries the distant sound of marching band practice from the school parking lot. Wayne Simmons stretches his 6'3" frame against the goalpost, his perfectly styled blonde hair catching the afternoon light like some kind of golden crown. Number 12 on his jersey, captain of the football team, son of Commissioner Robert Simmons, who controls half the city council with his political connections and family money. Wayne's uniform is pristine, not a single grass stain or wrinkle, because boys like Wayne don't get dirty unless they choose to. His cleats alone cost more than most families spend on groceries in a month. Custom-made leather with his initials embroidered in gold thread along the sides. "You see her over there?" Wayne calls to his teammates while pointing directly at Hazel, his voice carrying that particular tone rich boys use when they want everyone to know they're about to say something cruel. Little Miss Scholarship, thinking she belongs on the same field as us. Harold Henderson and Marcus Wilson flank Wayne like loyal guard dogs, both wearing matching expressions of anticipation mixed with uncomfortable uncertainty. Harold's been Wayne's best friend since 2nd grade, back when they used to build elaborate Lego castles and argue about superhero powers. Now Harold spends most of his time documenting Wayne's increasingly disturbing behavior in a private journal, though Wayne would be shocked to learn that his best friend has been secretly recording their conversations for the past 6 months. The cheerleading squad finishes their warm-up routine near the home team bleachers. 8 girls in matching uniforms moving through synchronized motions with the precision of a military unit. Trinity Diaz catches Hazel's eye and offers a supportive smile, the kind of expression that says, "We're in this together," without needing words. Trinity's been Hazel's closest friend since middle school, back when they were both invisible 12-year-olds trying to survive the daily battlefield of adolescent social hierarchy. Coach Brooke Alexander watches the team from the sidelines with the careful attention of someone who's seen too much cruelty disguised as teenage fun. Her experienced eyes moving between the cheerleaders and the football players like a referee anticipating trouble. At 34, Brooke has coached at Riverside High for 8 years, long enough to recognize the warning signs when privileged students decide to target someone they consider beneath their social status. She's filed 17 reports about Wayne Simmons, every single one mysteriously lost in administrative bureaucracy or dismissed due to insufficient evidence and "ours being boys." The crowd settles into their seats with the satisfied energy of people who've paid good money for entertainment. Hot dogs and nachos passed hand to hand, conversations about weekend plans and college applications floating through the crisp autumn air. Most of these people know each other by name. Riverside being the kind of town where everybody's business becomes everyone's business within 24 hours. They have no idea they're about to witness something that will divide this community along lines that were always there but never openly acknowledged. Commissioner Robert Simmons occupies his usual spot in the VIP section, a specially constructed area with cushioned chairs and a private restroom that costs the school district $15,000 annually to maintain. His tailored suit probably costs more than most teachers make in a month, his gold Rolex catching the sunlight as he waves to constituents who depend on his political favor. Beside him sits Judge Patricia Morrison, her stern expression softened by designer sunglasses that hide the calculation in her eyes. These two have been making deals behind closed doors for so long they've forgotten what actual justice looks like. Hazel removes her practice jacket to reveal the cheerleader uniform that's become both her shield and her prison. Bright yellow top with blue accents, pleated skirt that hits exactly 2 inches above her knees, according to dress code regulations she's memorized. The uniform fits perfectly, despite being purchased second-hand from a graduating senior. Hazel's mother having spent 3 weeks altering every seam to create the illusion of new clothing. Her shoes are the only item she bought retail, white leather sneakers that cost her 2 months of part-time wages at the local diner where she works every weekend. The first insult comes disguised as generosity. Wayne approaching the cheerleader section with an exaggerated swagger that draws attention from half the stadium. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announces in a voice loud enough to carry across 3 sections of bleachers, "I'd like to make a special presentation to our hard-working scholarship cheerleader." From his jacket pocket, Wayne produces a handful of $1 bills, fake money printed with his own face, where George Washington should be. "I know times are tough for some people," he continues while several football players snicker behind him. "So I thought we'd take up a collection for those less fortunate among us." The bills flutter through the air like confetti, landing at Hazel's feet while 400 people watch in stunned silence. Some bills stick to her pom-poms, others scatter across the track that circles the football field. The humiliation is surgical in its precision, designed to wound while maintaining plausible deniability. After all, Wayne will claim later, he was just trying to help. "Pick them up," Wayne commands, with the casual authority of someone who's never been told no in his entire life. "I'm sure your family could use the extra cash." Trinity Diaz steps forward with fire in her dark eyes. "Wayne, that's enough." "Did I ask you to speak?" Wayne replies without even looking at Trinity, his attention focused entirely on Hazel, like a predator studying wounded prey. This is between me and the charity case. The stadium holds its collective breath, sensing that something important is happening, even if they don't understand what yet. Parents lean forward in their seats. Students put down their phones. Even the marching band stops practicing in the parking lot. The afternoon sun seems to dim slightly, as if nature itself is preparing for what comes next. Hazel stares at the fake money scattered around her feet. Each bill featuring Wayne's smiling face printed over official currency design. Her hands remain steady, pom-poms held at her sides with perfect cheerleader posture. But something fundamental shifts behind her brown eyes. Something that's been building for months finally reaches its breaking point. The first memory that surfaces is from 7 years ago. 10-year-old Hazel crying in her mother's arms after Marcus Wilson pushed her off the playground equipment. "Baby," her mother had whispered while cleaning scraped knees and wounded pride. "Sometimes the world thinks it can break us, because we look gentle on the outside. But you've got something special inside you, something those boys will never understand." Sarah Ward, Hazel's mother, had been a professional mixed martial arts fighter before pregnancy ended her career. 3 championship belts gathering dust in their apartment closet. She'd started training Hazel that same week, not because she wanted her daughter to become a fighter, but because she understood that some battles choose you, whether you're ready or not. "Never start a fight," Sarah would repeat during training sessions in their garage, "but always finish one that someone else begins." Now, 17-year-old Hazel feels those words echoing through her mind as she surveys the scene around her. Wayne Simmons grinning like he's already won, his teammates forming a semicircle of intimidation, 400 people watching from the safety of their seats, waiting to see if she'll break. The fake bills rustle in the October breeze, some tumbling toward the end zone where groundskeepers have painted "Home of the Panthers" in bold blue letters. Each bill is a carefully crafted insult. Wayne's face replacing founding fathers. His signature scrawled where Treasury officials should be. Someone spent actual time and money creating these, which means this humiliation was planned weeks in advance. "I'm waiting," Wayne says, his voice carrying that peculiar mix of impatience and entertainment that bullies perfect through years of practice. "My donation isn't going to pick itself up." From the VIP section, Commissioner Simmons watches his son with obvious pride, the kind of expression usually reserved for touchdowns and academic achievements. He whispers something to Judge Morrison, both adults sharing a quiet laugh that carries across the stadium like acid rain. These are the people who run this town, who decide which families matter and which ones exist only to serve their convenience. Hazel's mind catalogs every face in the crowd, memorizing expressions, identifying allies and enemies with the tactical awareness her mother spent years developing. Trinity stands ready to fight, though she lacks the training to make much difference. Coach Alexander watches from the sidelines, her cell phone in hand, probably debating whether calling security will help or make things worse. Harold Henderson seems increasingly uncomfortable, his loyalty to Wayne battling against his basic human decency. The silence stretches until it becomes its own form of torture. Everyone waiting for Hazel to either submit or resist, both options carrying consequences that will echo through the rest of her high school career. The smart play would be to pick up the money, apologize for existing, accept her place in the social hierarchy that Wayne's family has spent generations constructing. Instead, Hazel does something unexpected. She laughs, not the bitter, defeated laugh of someone who's given up, but the genuine, amused laugh of someone who's just realized how ridiculous this whole situation really is. Her laughter carries across the stadium like music, confusing Wayne and terrifying Commissioner Simmons, who suddenly realizes that Hazel Ward might not be the easy target they assumed. "You think this is funny?" Wayne demands, his confidence wavering for the first time since this confrontation began. "I think you have no idea what you've just started," Hazel replies, her voice steady and clear enough to reach the back rows of the bleachers. She bends down slowly, deliberately, collecting several of Wayne's fake bills while maintaining eye contact that never wavers. For a moment, Wayne thinks he's won, that Hazel is finally accepting her place in his carefully constructed world order. His grin widens as she straightens up, fake money held in her right hand, while her left maintains its grip on yellow and blue pom-poms. Then Hazel does something that changes everything. "My name is Hazel Ward," she announces, her voice carrying across the stadium with the authority of someone who's finally decided to stop hiding. "Judge Patricia Ward is my father." The stadium erupts in confused murmurs. 400 conversations starting simultaneously as people try to process what they've just heard. Commissioner Simmons goes pale, his expensive whiskey tumbling from nerveless fingers to stain his tailored pants. Judge Morrison removes her sunglasses with shaking hands, revealing eyes wide with panic and calculation. Wayne's mouth opens and closes like a fish pulled from water, his mind struggling to comprehend how completely he's miscalculated this situation. The scholarship cheerleader he's been tormenting for months is actually the illegitimate daughter of one of the most powerful judges in the state, someone who could destroy his family's political empire with a single phone call. "That's impossible," Wayne stammers, but his voice lacks conviction, already knowing that Hazel's confident demeanor confirms every word she's speaking. "Your father and mine have been making deals for years," Hazel continues, her training in tactical psychology finally being put to use. "Bribes disguised as campaign contributions, favorable rulings in exchange for political support, a whole network of corruption that I've been documenting since I was old enough to understand what I was seeing." From her cheerleader uniform, Hazel produces a small recording device, its red light blinking steadily to indicate active recording. Every word of this conversation is being preserved, every threat and insult Wayne has delivered being captured for posterity. "You want to talk about charity cases," Hazel says, while holding up the fake money Wayne created. "Let's discuss how your family's charity foundation reports 97% administrative costs, meaning 3 cents of every donated dollar actually reaches people in need." The crowd leans forward collectively, sensing that they're witnessing something historically significant, the kind of moment that divides time into before and after. Parents pull out their phones. Students activate social media live streams. Local news cameras swing toward the unfolding drama on the football field. Wayne's carefully constructed world begins crumbling around him, his privileged foundation shaking as Hazel systematically demolishes every assumption he's built his identity upon. This isn't supposed to happen. People like Hazel are supposed to accept their place quietly, grateful for whatever scraps his family chooses to provide. "Harold," Wayne calls desperately to his best friend. "Tell her she's lying." But Harold Henderson has been waiting for this moment longer than anyone realizes, his hidden recording equipment capturing every word as he steps forward with a press badge that materialized from his jacket pocket. "Actually," Harold announces, "I'm an investigative journalist with the State Tribune, and I've been documenting the Simmons family corruption network for 8 months." The revelation hits Wayne like a physical blow, his knees actually buckling as he realizes that his closest friend has been working undercover, that every private conversation, every casual admission of wrongdoing, every boastful confession about his family's illegal activities has been recorded and documented by someone he trusted completely. Commissioner Simmons rises from his VIP seat with the desperate energy of a man watching his empire collapse in real time. His cell phone pressed against his ear as he frantically tries to call in favors that may no longer exist. Judge Morrison sits frozen beside him, her political instincts warring between loyalty to her corrupt partner and self-preservation as multiple phone cameras document her every expression. Trinity Diaz grins with savage satisfaction, finally understanding why Hazel has been so calm despite months of escalating harassment. "You knew this was coming," she whispers, her admiration obvious. "I've been planning this for 2 years," Hazel confirms, her voice carrying the quiet confidence of someone who's thought through every possible contingency. "Ever since Wayne's crew cornered me in the parking lot, and his father made sure the security footage mysteriously disappeared." The fake money flutters in Hazel's hand like evidence of a crime, each bill representing the casual cruelty that Wayne's family has normalized through generations of unchecked privilege. But now, their protection is evaporating, their political connections becoming liabilities as word spreads through the crowd about recordings and evidence and federal investigations. Wayne straightens slowly, his quarterback training kicking in as he realizes that his only remaining option is to fight his way out of this situation. "You think you're clever," he snarls, his handsome features twisting into something ugly and desperate. "But you're still just a poor little girl who doesn't belong here. And you're still just a rich little boy who's about to learn what consequences feel like," Hazel replies, dropping the fake money and pom-poms simultaneously as she settles into a combat stance that immediately identifies her as someone with serious martial arts training. The crowd recognizes the shift in energy, conversations stopping abruptly as people realize they're about to witness something far more dramatic than football. Wayne outweighs Hazel by 60 pounds, stands 7 inches taller, has the build of someone who's spent years in expensive gyms with personal trainers. What he doesn't have is 7 years of disciplined training under a former professional fighter, or the focused rage of someone who's finally been pushed too far, or the tactical intelligence to recognize when he's walked into a carefully prepared trap. "Last chance to apologize," Hazel offers, though her tone suggests she's hoping he'll refuse. Wayne's response is exactly what she expected, a wild swing aimed at her head, designed to end this confrontation quickly through brute force and intimidation. It's the kind of attack that works perfectly against untrained opponents, which explains why Wayne has never lost a fight in his privileged life. Hazel isn't untrained. She slips Wayne's punch with minimal movement, redirecting his momentum with a jiu-jitsu technique that sends him stumbling past her while she pivots smoothly to maintain optimal positioning. The crowd gasps at the sudden reversal, parents covering their children's eyes while students lean forward with excitement. "Stand still and fight like a man," Wayne demands, his ego preventing him from recognizing the tactical disaster he's walked into. "I am fighting," Hazel replies calmly. "You're just not used to opponents who fight back intelligently." Wayne's second attack comes faster than his first, a desperate combination of punches that might have overwhelmed a normal opponent through sheer aggression and superior reach. But Hazel reads his movements like words on a page. 7 years of training having taught her to recognize the telegraphed signals that precede every amateur fighter's offensive attempts. She weaves between his strikes with fluid precision, her smaller frame becoming an advantage as Wayne's wild swings disrupt his own balance and leave him vulnerable to counterattack. The first real damage comes when Wayne overextends himself, trying to land a knockout blow. his entire body weight committed to a haymaker that whistles harmlessly past Hazel's ear. She responds with a perfectly timed uppercut to his solar plexus, driving the air from his lungs while simultaneously stepping into a hip throw that uses his forward momentum against him. Wayne crashes to the artificial turf with bone-jarring impact, his expensive uniform collecting grass stains that will never wash out. 400 people watch in stunned silence as their star quarterback struggles to breathe, while a 130-pound cheerleader stands over him with the calm confidence of a professional fighter. Phone cameras capture every moment, social media live streams broadcasting this David versus Goliath confrontation to audiences far beyond Riverside's borders. "Get up," Hazel commands, her voice carrying none of the breathless exertion that Wayne's labored gasping demonstrates. "You wanted to fight, so fight." Commissioner Simmons shouts something incoherent from the VIP section, his political composure finally cracking as he watches his son being systematically dismantled by someone he considered beneath notice. Judge Morrison has her phone pressed against her ear, frantically trying to reach contacts who might still be willing to help her weather the storm that's about to break over both their heads. Harold Henderson continues documenting everything with professional detachment, his undercover investigation finally reaching the dramatic climax he's spent months orchestrating. Every bruise Wayne receives, every tactical mistake he makes, every desperate attempt to salvage his reputation through violence is being recorded for the federal task force that's been building a case against the Simmons-Morrison corruption network. Trinity Diaz cheers from the sidelines with unrestrained joy, finally seeing justice delivered to someone who's terrorized half their school for years. "Show him what real strength looks like," she calls out, her voice carrying clearly across the suddenly quiet stadium. Wayne climbs unsteadily to his feet, his perfect hair disheveled and his golden boy image cracking like cheap paint. Blood trickles from his nose where Hazel's elbow caught him during the hip throw, the crimson stain spreading across his white jersey like evidence of his fundamental weakness. "You got lucky," he snarls, though his voice lacks the confidence that once made underclassmen scatter in fear. "Luck had nothing to do with it," Hazel replies while resetting her stance. "Your father's money bought you everything except the ability to handle real adversity." The psychological warfare is as devastating as the physical combat, each of Hazel's words targeting Wayne's deepest insecurities about his unearned advantages and protected status. She's not just fighting his body, she's dismantling the entire worldview that's allowed him to justify years of cruelty toward people he considered inferior. Wayne's third offensive comes with the desperate fury of someone who finally understands that his privileged existence is ending, his attacks becoming more vicious, but paradoxically less effective, as panic overrides his remaining tactical judgment. He throws wild hooks and desperate tackles, each attempt more uncoordinated than the last, as exhaustion and bewilderment take their toll on his untested conditioning. Hazel responds with clinical efficiency, blocking what she needs to block, avoiding what she needs to avoid, and punishing every mistake with precisely calculated counterstrikes. A knee to his ribs when he drops his guard, an elbow to his kidney when he turns too far, a foot sweep that drops him to the turf when he plants his weight incorrectly. She's not trying to inflict maximum damage. She's teaching him a lesson about consequences through systematic humiliation. "This is what happens," Hazel explains while Wayne struggles to his hands and knees for the third time. "When privilege meets preparation, when arrogance meets accountability." The crowd has evolved from shocked silence to active engagement, some cheering for Hazel while others maintain uncomfortable quiet as they process the complete reversal of their understood social hierarchy. Parents who spent years donating to Commissioner Simmons's campaigns are suddenly re-evaluating their political allegiances. Students who feared Wayne's retaliation are discovering courage they never knew they possessed. From the field level, Coach Alexander finally abandons her neutral position and approaches the conflict with obvious intent to intervene. "That's enough," she calls out, though her tone suggests admiration rather than disapproval. "Hazel, you've made your point." "Have I?" Hazel asks while Wayne vomits onto the 20-yard line, his body finally succumbing to the accumulated damage of fighting someone who actually knows how to hurt people efficiently. "Because I think Wayne still believes his daddy's influence will protect him from the consequences of his actions." As if summoned by her words, Detective Maria Santos emerges from the crowd with a team of federal agents, their badges clearly visible as they move through the stands toward the VIP section where Commissioner Simmons has been frantically trying to coordinate damage control through his political network. The investigation Harold Henderson has been feeding information to has finally reached its operational phase. Search warrants and arrest warrants executed simultaneously across the city. Commissioner Simmons sees them coming and attempts to flee, his expensive shoes slipping on the metal bleacher steps as he scrambles toward the exit, like a rat abandoning a sinking ship. Judge Morrison follows close behind, her judicial dignity forgotten in the face of federal prosecution and career-ending scandal. Neither makes it more than 50 feet before being intercepted by agents who've been waiting for this moment for months. Wayne witnesses his father's arrest from his position on the football field, handcuffs clicking around wrists that have signed corrupt legislation and accepted illegal bribes for over a decade. The golden boy who thought himself untouchable finally understands that his protection has evaporated, that the empire his family built through corruption and intimidation is collapsing in real time. "My father will sue you," Wayne gasps from the turf, blood and grass stains marking his expensive uniform. "He'll destroy your family, your future, everything you care about." Hazel kneels beside him with gentle mockery, her voice soft enough that only Wayne can hear her next words. "Your father is being arrested for racketeering, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit fraud. The only thing he'll be destroying is his cellmate's patience when he tries to explain why a judge's daughter outsmarted his entire criminal organization." The revelation hits Wayne like a physical blow, his remaining fight evaporating as he realizes that Hazel hasn't just defeated him personally. She's orchestrated the complete destruction of everything his family represents. The scholarship cheerleader he dismissed as worthless has been playing chess while he was playing checkers, thinking strategically while he relied on inherited advantages. The aftermath unfolds with the inexorable logic of justice finally delivered. Handcuffs and Miranda rights, search warrants and seized assets, phone calls to lawyers who suddenly claim scheduling conflicts when asked to represent obviously guilty clients. Commissioner Simmons's corruption network unravels like a sweater with a pulled thread, each arrested conspirator leading investigators to 3 more targets. Judge Morrison attempts to maintain judicial dignity even as federal agents read her rights, her legal training warring against the panic of someone who's spent years believing her position made her untouchable. The evidence Harold Henderson gathered includes recordings of her selling favorable rulings, video proof of her accepting cash payments, documented proof of a conspiracy that reaches into the highest levels of local government. Wayne remains on the football field, no longer the golden quarterback, but simply another privileged teenager learning that actions have consequences. His teammates avoid eye contact. His coaches pretend not to notice his humiliation. His former admirers discover urgent business elsewhere. The social hierarchy that once elevated him above normal accountability has abandoned him completely. Hazel stands over her defeated opponent with the quiet satisfaction of someone who's spent years planning this moment. Every detail choreographed, every contingency anticipated, every possible escape route systematically eliminated. She's not celebrating. There's no joy in what she's accomplished, only the grim satisfaction of justice finally served. "You could have been different," she tells Wayne as paramedics check him for serious injuries. "You had every advantage, every opportunity to be better than your father's corruption. Instead, you chose to be exactly what the world expected from privilege, without accountability." Trinity approaches with obvious admiration, her earlier fear replaced by genuine respect for someone who's demonstrated that bullies can be defeated through intelligence and preparation rather than hoping adults will intervene. "How long have you been planning this?" she asks. "Since the day I realized that nobody was coming to save us," Hazel replies, while accepting her pom-poms from a teammate who's watched the entire confrontation with wide-eyed amazement. "Since I understood that sometimes justice requires people to deliver it themselves." Harold Henderson completes his documentation with professional satisfaction. Months of undercover work finally paying dividends as federal agents process evidence that will send corrupt officials to federal prison for decades. His investigation has exposed a criminal network that reaches far beyond high school bullying, revealing systematic corruption that has infected every level of local government. The crowd begins dispersing with the excited energy of people who've witnessed something historically significant. Conversations dominated by speculation about who knew what and when, about how long the corruption has been operating, about what happens next to a community whose power structure has just been completely dismantled. Coach Alexander approaches Hazel with obvious pride, her experienced eyes recognizing the tactical sophistication that turned a bullying incident into a strategic victory against institutional corruption. "Where did you learn to fight like that?" she asks. "My mother taught me that sometimes the world tries to break gentle people," Hazel explains while straightening her uniform. "So gentle people need to be prepared to break the world back." The immediate consequences ripple through Riverside High School like an earthquake. Wayne's suspension becoming permanent expulsion, his football scholarship evaporating, his college prospects disappearing along with his family's political influence. Commissioner Simmons faces federal charges that carry minimum sentences measured in decades. Judge Morrison's judicial career ending in disgrace and criminal prosecution. But the deeper changes take longer to manifest. New policies protecting students from harassment, oversight committees monitoring athletic programs, transparency requirements for local government that make future corruption significantly more difficult. Hazel's victory becomes a catalyst for systematic reform that touches every institution Wayne's family once controlled. 3 weeks later, Hazel receives official acknowledgement from Judge Patricia Ward, her biological father finally admitting paternity after years of denial motivated by political convenience. The reunion is awkward but genuine, a corrupt judge attempting to rebuild relationships with the daughter he abandoned to protect his career advancement. The cheerleading squad performs at their next game with renewed confidence, their previous fear of harassment replaced by understanding that bullies can be defeated through courage and preparation. Trinity leads them through routines that celebrate strength rather than simply entertaining crowds, their performances becoming statements about female empowerment rather than decorative sideshows. Wayne Simmons transfers to a private school in another state, his family's remaining money purchasing anonymity and psychological counseling for someone who spent 18 years believing that power meant never facing consequences. His new classmates know nothing about his past, giving him an opportunity to become someone better than his upbringing suggested was possible. Harold Henderson's investigation wins a Pulitzer Prize for exposing government corruption. His undercover work, setting new standards for investigative journalism, while demonstrating that sometimes the best stories require years of patient preparation. The federal task force he assisted recovers $14 million in stolen taxpayer money, funds redirected to education and social services. The Riverside Sports Complex installs a memorial plaque commemorating the day when courage defeated corruption. When a 17-year-old cheerleader demonstrated that justice doesn't require size or strength, only determination and careful planning. Visitors read Hazel's quoted words, "Never mistake kindness for weakness. Never mistake silence for acceptance." 1 year later, Hazel receives a full scholarship to Georgetown University's pre-law program. Her academic achievements and demonstrated character attracting attention from institutions that value integrity over inherited privilege. She plans to study constitutional law, specifically focusing on corruption prevention and governmental accountability. Her personal experience providing motivation for systemic reform. Trinity follows her to Georgetown, their friendship strengthened by shared adversity and mutual respect. Both young women understanding that real change requires sustained effort rather than single dramatic moments. They room together in the honors dormitory, studying late into the night while planning careers devoted to justice and public service. Coach Alexander accepts a position with the Olympic Training Center, her expertise in developing mental toughness attracting national attention after her role in supporting Hazel's transformation from victim to victor. She carries letters from former students who credit her guidance with giving them courage to face their own bullies. The federal prosecution of the Simmons-Morrison corruption network results in 47 indictments, 16 convictions, and the complete restructuring of local government oversight systems. The case becomes a textbook example of how systematic corruption requires systematic investigation, how individual courage can catalyze institutional change. Wayne Simmons graduates from his new school with improved grades and volunteer service hours at a domestic violence shelter, his mandatory community service evolving into genuine commitment to helping people he once would have dismissed as beneath notice. He writes Hazel a letter of apology that she reads once and files away, forgiveness being a gift she's not yet ready to provide. Commissioner Robert Simmons serves his federal sentence in a minimum security facility, his political connections worthless against evidence that prosecutors describe as overwhelming and indisputable. He spends his time teaching basic literacy to fellow inmates, finally discovering productive ways to use his educational advantages. Judge Patricia Morrison loses her judicial pension and serves 18 months in federal prison, her legal career ending in disgrace that serves as a warning to other officials who might consider corruption as a career advancement strategy. She emerges from prison to work as a paralegal, her experience with consequences providing perspective she previously lacked. Detective Maria Santos receives promotion to head the Public Corruption Task Force, her professional success built on the foundation that Harold Henderson's investigation provided. She speaks at law enforcement conferences about the importance of protecting whistleblowers and supporting citizens who risk personal safety to expose institutional failures. The recording device Hazel used to document Wayne's harassment becomes evidence in a federal case that establishes new legal precedents for prosecuting conspiracy charges in corruption cases. Her tactical thinking and careful preparation create legal frameworks that protect future victims while ensuring that powerful people face meaningful consequences. Hazel Ward stands in her Georgetown University dormitory, acceptance letters from law schools scattered across her desk, her future bright with possibilities that seemed impossible during those dark months when Wayne Simmons controlled her daily existence through fear and intimidation. She's become more than a survivor. She's become a symbol of what's possible when intelligence meets courage, when preparation meets opportunity, when someone refuses to accept that bullies deserve to win. The story that began with fake dollar bills and public humiliation ends with real change and institutional accountability. Proof that individual acts of courage can ripple through systems. That one person's refusal to stay silent can protect countless others from similar abuse. That justice delayed is not always justice denied if someone is willing to work for it. Wayne Simmons learned what happens when privilege meets consequence, when arrogance meets accountability, when someone finally says enough and has the strength to make it stick. His defeat becomes a lesson that echoes through every school where bullies assume their victims will stay silent, every institution where corruption assumes it's too powerful to challenge, every situation where someone believes that might makes right. Sometimes the quiet ones are planning, sometimes the gentle ones are gathering strength, sometimes the victims are becoming warriors, and sometimes justice arrives, wearing a cheerleader uniform and carrying 7 years of combat training. Never mistake kindness for weakness. Never mistake silence for acceptance. And never underestimate what happens when someone finally decides to fight back.